Hello and welcome to episode 3 of Film Talk. And a certain film has turned 100. Nosferatu, a symphony of horror, directed by F.W. Murnau, released in 1922, is 100. I'm also going to be talking about the 1979 remake by Werner Herzog, and which bits I think are better than the others, and which bits I think are worse than the others, and which one I would, prefer to watch, and so on. So, of course, we'll start with the 1922 film. Now, I am, obviously, I put up with watching silent films, because a lot of them are very good, but, obviously, I always find it a bit difficult to get into a silent film, because they always seem a bit strange. I can happily enjoy a silent film, but I have to get into it first. You know what I mean? And, for me, sound films, I can just sort of decide to watch a film that's in sound, and then just watch it, and it'll be fine. But with silent films, I have to, at the beginning of the day, decide that by the end of the day, I want to have watched a silent film, and then at the end of the day, I do. And so, in that regard, I suppose the 1979 film is better than the 1922 film. And I think, really, the 1979 film is superior in both technically and artistically in every way. But, of course, the 1979 film isn't one of the most influential films of all time, whereas the 1922 film is. And so there's this sort of thing there, and you can, in my opinion, they're both equal. Now, say if the 1922 film was already a remake of an earlier film, right? Then the 1979 film would be on top, and that one wouldn't really be doing it. But because it's so important, it brings it up. And it is very good. I mean, there are things the 1922 film does that the 1979 film doesn't. I mean, it has the shot of the shadow going up the wall. Now, the 1979 film does have an equivalent shot, but it's not the same. And there are some shots that the 1979 film just sort of replicates almost exactly, not exactly, but almost exactly, like the one where he's on the ship. And I just sort of, obviously I have a bit of a bias towards 1970s films, because it was the best decade, and the 1920s wasn't the best decade, and neither was the 2020s, actually, I'll tell you. But yeah, it's interesting, innit? Now, when it comes to the performances, obviously, silent films always... The performances in silent cinema is always very not good. Most of the time. There are some exceptions, but most of the time it's very over the top, and obviously that is not a problem at the time because that was just what acting was. But by the 70s, acting had become more sort of realistic. I think in the late 60s, really, all earlier decades in the 60s, they have a distinct sort of style of acting. Like, you can watch a film and just from the acting you can tell roughly what decade it was made in. But from the 1970s onwards, or the late 60s onwards, acting became more realistic. But the 1979 Nosferatu is a, but that's not the case, basically, innit? Because, obviously, all the actors were German. And obviously, so English wasn't their first language, and so it is a bit off. But you can forgive them, because obviously, they weren't English. Obviously, I've watched the English version. I haven't seen the German version yet, although I've been told that it's identical. So that's that. But I'd say, really, I probably just prefer the 1979 version. Even though the 1922 version is more important, and it's influenced more people. Like, the only people who know about the 1979 version are people who know about the original version, and people who know about Werner Herzog. That's it. No one just knows about it. Like, a lot of people will just know about the original Nosferatu. They'll just know about it. You know? But the 1979 one, there's no one who just knows. Like, if you say Nosferatu to anyone, none of them will think of the 1979 version. At all. Which is a shame, because it is very good. I think there's only like a couple of things I don't like about it. Like the guy who plays the estate agent in the original film, he's this creepy looking guy. I mean, just look at him. He looks creepy, right? And then the 1979 version is this really annoying guy who I want to punch.
May take you a long time. Cost you a lot of sweat. And possibly also a bit of blood.
Because he never shuts up. He never stops that stupid laugh. Although I'm pleased to see that Klaus Kinski dislikes him just as much as I do. Talking about Klaus Kinski, he was pretty mental. And although Max Schreck, there are obviously rumours that he was a real vampire, he doesn't look as mental. He looks sort of, obviously he looks creepy. And I'd say that I probably prefer Klaus Kinski's version of, well, I was going to say Orlok, but he's actually only Count Orlok in the... That's something that kind of annoys me, because whenever, like, sometimes on the English translations of the original film, they'll change it to Count Dracula, and of course in the 1979 version, his name is Count Dracula, when I've always considered Count Dracula and Count Orlok to be different people. You know, like, Count Dracula is the Bela Lugosi guy, and Count Orlok is the creepy, pointy ears, bald guy. You know? And so it does always kind of annoy me when people refer to the vampire in either Nosferatu as Dracula when it's Orlok, it's not Dracula, they're different characters. But yeah, I usually have a lot more to say in the film talks, and they're usually slightly more coherent, and so I apologise for this one's incoherence. But I just thought it was important to mark the 100th anniversary, even if I'm a week late, a couple of weeks late. I don't care. I think I'm actually a lot more late than that, like 20 days late. Almost. But anyway, or even more, I don't know, it was the 4th of March, when it turned 100. I don't know what day it is. But the last one is turning. It's been 9 months since the last film talk, and it's been almost a year since the first one. So I thought it was best to just keep it going, keep this train very slowly rolling on. So I hope you guys have enjoyed the 3rd episode of Film Talk, and if you have, please like, comment and subscribe.